you for tuning in. This is Dhruti Shah, and welcome to the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast, where every month I bring to you the story of an entrepreneur who is proven to be unstoppable because they are resilient. This podcast is a culmination of my own story of resilience. As someone who taught herself early on to be mentally tough, I came to realize that success stories are great to remain motivated, but true learning happens when you fail, you stumble, you reflect, and you rise. This podcast is an attempt to bring to you, to my listeners, the situations that test your nerves, your grit, and your resilience. If you listen closely, you will hear the entrepreneurs reflect. And who knows, you may have some light bulb moments yourself. The Resilient Entrepreneur is brought to you by C2C OD, a firm that specializes in bringing people and strategy together. And welcome to the brand new season of the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast. This new season is dedicated to social entrepreneurs who are not just grappling the challenges of a new startup, but are also in the business of changing mindsets and impacting lives. With that, let's meet my guest today. Coming right up. Welcome back, folks. As you know, this season is dedicated to social entrepreneurs. And today, my guest is someone who is one of India's biggest and most influential social entrepreneurs. And to be honest, a personal hero for me as well. I've been looking up to him since quite some time. He is a recipient of the 2015 Ramon Magsaysay Award, popularly called the Nobel Prize of Asia. In 2010, he was listed by Forbes as one of India's most powerful rural entrepreneurs. It is my absolute honor to have Anshu Gupta, founding director of Goonj, on my podcast today. Anshu, popularly known as the Clothing Man, has created a mass movement through Goonj, the world's first agency working on clothing as a development issue. Started over 24 years ago, when terms like slow fashion and upcycle were yet to become the buzzwords they are today, Goonj, under Anshu's leadership, built the genesis of a parallel trash-based barter economy between the efforts of rural communities and urban surplus material as two new currencies. What started as a disruptive idea with Anshu and his wife and co-founder Meenakshi's personal 67 clothing items has today turned into a systemic work across 27 states of India, deploying thousands of tons of underutilized household material every year to mobilize and impact thousands of village communities on water, agriculture, sanitation, menstrual hygiene, education, livelihood, and disaster response and mitigation. Anshu's core philosophy is imbibed in dignity and respect for all, repositioning the last person as a champion of change, a contributor, and an equal participant. So let me bring in this visionary leader and entrepreneur, Anshu Gupta. Hey, Anshu, welcome to the Resilient Entrepreneur Podcast. I am so honored to have you here. And let's just dive straight into your journey at Goonj. What has it been like? It's been 25 years.
Sure, Dhruvi, thank you. It's a beautiful journey, for sure. And I often tell people that maybe the goonj happened to me.
Yes.
I didn't happen to goonj, but the goonj happened to me. And then also I didn't. I also happened to goonj.
Yeah.
So and I think India, as I often say, is like a lab. Right? I
Mhm.
mean, uh, that's what many of our friends in Europe and many other places do not understand, that how complicated and how fun it is, because it's not just about the language and the geography which change, but it's also the kind of rice people eat, the kind of clothes people wear, the uh, everything, and And it's often I give this example to people that if you see the southern Indian states and all these states are touching borders,
Mm.
and every single state is eating rice, but it's different variety of rice.
Yeah,
The
correct.
most common dish in India is called sambar.
Mm-hmm.
Ingredients are same, but tastes are absolutely different.
Yes, even from one
So
state to the other, right? The
that's it
flavors are
together, and even at the borders, right?
yeah.
I mean, if you see Tamil Nadu, Andhra border or whatever border, you'll see the difference.
Yes.
So, so for people like us, that's an opportunity.
Mm.
That's also a beautiful way of learning things. You know, people who have grown up in the city, I always think and tell people that for me, the universities or my university has been the villages of India.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because that's where personally I learned. And when I say I, uh, because it's a personal podcast, so I'm using the word I, but it's
Yes.
also I mean here a lot of the we part of it.
Mm.
Many
Mm.
of us in the organization and other ways.
Yeah. So you said you started by saying that, Goonj happened to me. What do you mean by that? Let's trace back the journey. I know it's been 25 years now.
Someone coming from a beautiful middle class family of India
Mm.
of those days, right? I mean, we know that there are thousand different kind of middle classes in India, but a middle class where if the salary doesn't come for a month, you're in a problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I there are some of personal parameters of the middle class. So one of those is
Right.
that. And always grown up in the small towns because of the uh, papa's postings all across. You know, in fact, studying even in the schools, kind of schools which are schools we are working with now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so even when we had the resources to go to a so-called better school, that was the school.
Right.
Yeah? And then coming from a hardcore family of engineers, only engineers in the family,
Oh.
massive people. I still have to count and reconfirm it, but people tell me that in my family tree, there are some 20-22 pass outs of IIT Roorkee
Oh
or
my
other IIT.
goodness.
Okay.
That's
So I mean, my father's cousins and all those.
quite a legacy.
Quite a legacy. And I was the eldest. I had I mean, cousin sister and then me.
Mm.
And I was a complete baggy, as I, often say. I mean, not maybe baggy by choice, but because engineering bas ki nahi thi. I mean, I was not maybe fit for that. Uh, Mentally also, and my attitude also. I
Mm.
was more into creativity, singing, uh, drama,
Mm-hmm.
writing, right from the beginning. Okay. So I mean that journey happens, and then you land up in a city called Delhi, and to study your mass communication and all completely different tracks.
Yeah.
And then this journey starts of or that too on a very very simple basic piece of clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and the realization that clothing is an absolutely ignored issue, and you say roti kapda makan food cloth and shelter, but cloth is not a constant work. It's
Yeah.
not actually a development subject.
It's not. Yeah.
And then it opens up, right? I mean, someone who never faced shortage of clothing, at least in life, or acute shortage of, as now we call, material poverty.
Yeah.
We never went through that, fine, except a couple of years of our tough time. We never went through that. But then you saw that how there are big issues and how there are simple solutions,
Mm.
which you didn't know that these are solutions. You
Yeah.
just tried, you just thought, and then rest is a journey. And that's why I say that Goonj happened to me. There is no background of clothing, of material, of village, of solving water issue, of building communities, of handling any disaster in, say, even in the areas where we stayed in
Yeah.
our life, right? I mean, we have never experienced a disaster, at least in our childhood and all.
Correct.
Now it's common.
Yeah, so to say a very comfortable life, and again, the definition of comfortable may change from person to person, but no such trauma or no major impact which made you go in that direction. It was just a calling, maybe, and you felt, maybe a tug at your heart that, okay, this is something that's interesting to
Trauma,
explore. Hmm.
trauma and all, I would certainly say that when I was in, so we were okay. We were at least a family where there was no problem in going to schools and having good food,
Correct.
and that is in those days good enough for a government and a very dabang government officer. So,
Yeah.
um, but then when I did my 12th, 10 plus 2, I met with a massive accident and I was on bed for 1 year, and
Oh my God.
I was told that I'll never be able to walk. Okay, and then I think that was a huge. If I reflect now, that was a phase when I think I started knowing about the country and the people much more, because when you stay in a government hospital and when you uh, say no to bribe, a lot happens.
Yeah.
In the era when there was no telephone, you didn't have your personal vehicle,
Yes.
and the family used to stay a few kilometers away from the hospital. How my and I was just like 16, 17 years old boy. Uh, so how the family handled that, and how in the hospital I saw other people handling that.
Yeah.
Right from the so I was a popular patient there, uh, very popular in fact. Uh,
Okay.
I used to so my bed was always full of people in the ortho ward, people who were able to walk. So suppose uh, playing sweep, playing cards together, right?
Nice.
And I still remember one sister called Sister Sushila, and I used to joke with her, "Ki, Sister, I make your work very easy because now you can actually give medicines to all of us at one place
At the same time,
at
yeah,
the
because
same
it's
time."
easier.
Yeah. So, but then you also, because you used to interact with so many people, if someone is waiting for a death of her of his mother, okay, because he's just waiting, and the every while playing, he's after every hour he's just saying, "Gayi kya? Is she gone?" Because she was in extreme pain. Uh, she was not at all that she'll be able to recover. Right?
Yeah.
So normal person will say, "Are ye kya? What is this? And how can people talk like this?" But when you are a part of this journey,
Yeah.
and when you know that why this person is ready to lose his mother,
Yeah.
yeah, so you
Absolutely.
understand
Your
that
perspective shifts, no?
the
You've
perspective,
seen it way too closely.
the
Hmm.
perspective. So I think now when I look back, I see that that particular phase of hospital, and of course, after that, your orientation about life, people also change in a
Yeah,
big way, you know.
absolutely.
Uh, and then my entire journey of IMC, Indian Institute of Mass Communication, where I spent less time in the classes and more time on the roads.
Hmm.
I was, I think, one of the major person who used to bunk and all that. Uh, and then my travel to Uttarakhand as a student in the days of IMC. I
Mhm.
think all that, all those things gave me different perspectives.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
you just kind of got richer in terms of experience. And one of the things I always say is that you are the sum total of the experiences that you have, right? And that's what makes you as a person in that sense. So, Anshu, when I think about Gunj and as I was sharing earlier with you, right? I heard about Gunj long back when I used to be in Mumbai, when I used to live in Bombay, and it was just something that stuck with me as a concept,
Yeah.
because something that we take so much for granted, right? A piece of
Mm.
cloth,
Yeah.
right? We
Yeah.
don't even think about it, but you're absolutely right. Even in I don't know if UN has a charter for this as well, but
No.
I don't think so, right? It's not part of the SDGs in that sense. But when we think about cloth, food, clothing, and shelter, as you rightly said, are the three basic requirements. we take care of the food and maybe the shelter sometimes, but the clothing somewhere in the middle has gotten lost. I don't know, it's the way we say it, food, clothing, shelter, where clothing kind of lost its sheen. I don't know what it is. But circular economy as a concept really picked up quite recently. It's
Yeah.
been around since 1990, but suddenly it has gained, this popularity. And the timing is obvious, given the sudden shift that we're experiencing in not just global warming is a lot more than just climate change, right? But I think that's why circular economy has really picked up. But you thought about it long back. So were there any resistance or challenges that you faced as you were starting up Goonj?
So one thing, Dhruvi, is that we didn't know that this is circular economy, right?
Mm.
Uh, or there are such fancy buzzwords will
Yes.
come up in life.
Mm.
Now people call climate disaster this and that. I mean, for the last from the day one, we have been handling or working on disasters. That's a normal thing. I think for us, the important part was the optimum utilization. For us, important part was clothing was one part, of course, because you understood that more people die in winters due to lack of clothing than earthquake or floods. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
every single war and displacement, which is now the new and such a common phenomena because of some jokers across the globe, uh, who do not value life at all in their own arrogance. Uh, uh, that weather becomes one of the very important part when you are worried about how people will survive. I mean, if you remember the time of Afghanistan thing recently or Ukraine war recently, we all were worried about that. But I don't know how people just ignored it uh, completely. That there are solutions. There is no shortage actually,
Yeah.
because something which the society can use is actually lying in landfills. So
Yeah.
if it is the inefficiency of the thought process and the systems which we have not created.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this entire game, I mean, we know that our work is 100% replicable across the globe,
Mm-hmm.
whether people are listening to this or not. We know that we are sitting on a breaking story, especially at the time when landfills are a big problem, when circularity is the buzzword, okay, when climate disasters are happening because of various reasons,
Mm-hmm.
when we know that material poverty is an acute uh, issue and material poverty is still not a buzzword we are talking about. So we are sitting on a breaking story, but we don't know why people are not understanding it. Okay, maybe somewhere our failure uh, also that we are not able to position or we don't talk much about it
Mm.
with so much proof of concept. So
Yeah.
when you are talking about challenges, right? That's why I'm saying it. That a challenge is all about the mindset. Challenge is all about some people deciding what are the issues and what should be the issues.
Mm.
Challenge is that only the people who speak they speak. People don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
We don't go to the communities to find out what are the issues which are bothering them. Instead of that, we decide that now malaria is an issue. Now HIV/AIDS is an issue, and we all start putting all our resources in those directions. Like,
Yeah.
like, like the way if you see COVID, it happened. First wave, everyone food. Second wave, it was only oxygen.
Yeah.
And I remember writing a piece that time that for 99% people, dal chawal, the basic food is still the oxygen. They
Yes.
don't need an oxygen cylinder, but
Yeah.
the entire world started operating on it. So I say that whatever challenges were there that time, uh, those challenges are still there. Maybe we are a little bit mature with experience to have a better language, right? But the larger world is still not understanding some of these things.
Yeah.
We all have forgotten COVID. We
Yes.
we because we do not want to remember how miserably we failed.
Mm. Yeah.
I mean, with such advanced medical systems and logistics and governance and all, how did how did this world really across the globe lost millions of people?
Yeah.
We don't want to be answerable for that.
Mm.
That's why we don't want to change.
Yeah.
So that's what I always feel, that this mindset and the sense of privilege and I know everything and those are poor, uh, they don't know. I mean, the fact remains that across the globe, villages and the so-called poor people who are not poor but only financially weak in
Mm.
some cases, they manage COVID much better than the richest possible people.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is something there. And have we
Cities,
uncovered that?
cities crippled, cities crippled,
Yeah,
villages survived.
correct.
So our struggle is that our struggle is not logistics and scaling up and all that. That's a part of job. I mean, we are now we're doing okay, and we are doing with an understanding that right from the beginning. I mean, we say we are giving you a copyright to copy our ideas, right? Because we
Mm.
understand that we are just one small tiny player in the game.
Correct.
If the idea is not copied or replicated, and if it is not uh, taken by the people and done in the local context after listening to the local communities, we can only do this much. Let's
Correct.
not let's not come and claim 100,000 lives change in the world where I can't change my own life.
No,
How do that?
absolutely. And there's always this thing, right? You have a model that has worked for you. You want people to replicate it. So, when you think about it from uh, a typically used, right, in the business standpoint, just expand the size of the pizza. Don't take smaller slices. You can make a bigger pizza, and everybody can have a big slice of that pizza. You don't have to fight for the smaller slivers. So you have that concept. If more people are able to replicate it, it's a literal maybe a copy paste that people can do and carry it forward. Get out of the herd mentality, get off the mindset which says, not my problem. Somebody else will take a look at it, or maybe the government will look at it. I know I'm guilty of that sometimes when as an individual, I'll say, but the bigger change needs to come from the government. How much can I do as an individual? But I'm sure that if we, rally all of this support and we bring in those processes and systems in place, then it's feasible to spread a little bit more, a little bit farther at the grassroots level. What do you think of that?
Of course, of course. I mean, uh, I think the most important part is, and I never doubt on intentions of people, right? I mean, because ultimately, if people are putting in effort day and night, the intentions are correct. But with time, the things need to change. With
Hmm.
time, somewhere we also need to uh, sit and say, boss, we worked, we spent our day and night, we spent a lot of resources, but the things didn't change. Is there a better way? That
Yeah.
is it.
Yeah.
Or we will just keep putting data on data and keep trying. We'll just keep proving that things are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest change when I always say that uh, the proof of biggest change is when people have choices. That is the biggest change.
Yes.
Like I am migrated. I migrated from Dehradun, but my migration was by choice. Millions of people across the globe, when they started walking back to their roots, to their homes, especially in the villages, it's a proof that they migrated not by choice but in compulsion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the moment people have choice, that means people have a say. That
Yeah.
means you are valuing the brain of people, the heart of people.
And it's very empowering to have
You're not
choice.
you're not imposing.
Yeah.
People say Goonj gives dignity to people. Now, because dignity is one word which we really practice. A
Mm.
lot of people talk about it, but right
Yeah.
from the beginning we practice. And I often tell people that how do you give dignity to people? You don't give dignity to people. Dignity is a part of your soul. You're born with that. When someone is in this world, the society tells that person that you are mota, you are chota, you are dark,
Yes.
you're white, fine, or you're black, and you don't know this, you're illiterate, you have this caste, that community. So dignity is a part of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
The society robs it. The society takes it away.
Yeah.
So there are only two things people like us can do. Either we can rob, we can snatch dignity from people, or we can respect dignity. Nothing else. And people need nothing. The people just need the basic respect.
That's it. Yeah.
That
That's
is it.
absolutely true.
That is
That
it.
is, and just the acknowledgement of them being human,
Mhm.
sometimes is enough. And we tend to miss out on that quite a bit, unfortunately. But I'm hearing a lot over here, Anshu, in terms of the journey that you've had. Um, And yeah, these are thankfully the language that we've now started using. So I'm going to say that, right? You say that one of the biggest obstacles you face is people's mindset, but I see that you yourself, you worked with a lot of growth mindset in that sense, where you're saying that, let's experiment, let's see. So what if we fail? At least we know we would have tried, and let's try something else. If it doesn't work, so pivot in that sense, right? If it doesn't work. So before these words started becoming buzzwords, you started practicing them long back. Um, do you have certain rituals or practices of your own as an individual which keep you going?
So one thing is that we are not the only one. I think the world has large number of beautiful and very progressive and growth-minded people. Right? I
Mm.
mean, uh, people who, even in the adverse situations and the worst possible situations, they still have the ability and the power to dream.
Yeah.
And I love those people, and
Mm.
and I'm just one of those tiny part of that huge circle of people. So I think, and that keeps your hopes alive,
Yeah.
right? Because it's up to you that you see 90 things, suppose, which are happening bad in a particular situation, or 50 things or 40 things, or 10 things which are happening good in that situation.
Yeah.
Because uh, you have nothing to do with those bad things, because you don't want to build up anything on that. You want to build up on these 10 things.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how I operate in my life. Not that I don't get disheartened or I don't get sad. I'm human, right?
Yeah.
Every day. Not that I don't cry. I'm human. I'm not a superhuman. So, but these things keeps you alive, and also an immense trust on the goodness of people. Uh, uh, I mean, if you talk about those rituals and those belief systems and all, to be honest, I am one person who has been telling people that as Indian and as many other, I mean, citizens of many other countries also, I'm talking about on behalf of them also. Uh, I feel resilience is a curse. Okay,
Tell me
too
more.
much too much resilience is a curse.
Hmm.
Okay, resilience is okay to fight it out, but resilience is a curse when you start accepting everything as it is.
Oh, yeah.
The dirt, the dirty drains to the roads where you can't go, or the way the world is living, the language which we are using for the people, and you say no, we are resilient, we will come up. Of course, we have no option. If we are in this life, whether we call ourselves resilient or not, we will come up, we will live
Yeah.
till we are gone. Okay.
I think apathy is is the challenge that a lot of us face. We've so gotten used to, and I'm just talking about as people in India, right? Sometimes we've so gotten used to, it's become normal for us to see a certain thing not working in the way it's supposed to. We've started taking it as a given.
So the
Yeah.
acceptance of that, and then we think we are resilient and will come up. No, we'll not, because we have accepted. Our benchmarking has become so low as citizens of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, that once your benchmarking has gone wrong, so one of the practice for me, is that keep your benchmarking as high as possible. Okay?
Hmm.
Otherwise, what will happen? You keep your benchmarking at the lowest level, which is happening in many cases. Then anything and everything happens, you feel good, because
Yeah.
you've already doomed in all your thought process and all. So
I get
anything happens, even if someone comes and smiles at you and says hello, oh yeah,
nice person,
oh,
right?
nice
Yeah.
man. Or people say I am honest,
Hmm.
why, or I'm very hardworking. So I actually tell people that, boss, and honesty is a part of your soul. If you're dishonest, that's your quality. Tell me
Hmm.
that you're
That's a
dishonest.
given. That's a given. That's how
But
it's
if you're
supposed to
given, I
be.
mean, why do you say honest? I,
Hmm.
I work hard in the office or this. Of course, you are here for 8 hours, 10 hours. You are paid for that. You know, you have to work hard.
Hmm.
What is that a quality? This is
Hmm.
how we should be. When you are having fun, have hard fun, enjoy.
Hmm.
When you are working, work hard.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't
And
make your peace with how do you say it? Like the inferior stuff in life, right?
yeah, yeah,
Aim for better. Mm.
because then everything will look better. No?
Yeah.
That is the issue. Personally, one thing which has helped me a lot, and is that I'm not into spirituality, or although a lot of people call me very spiritual, I don't know why, but I don't practice some of those things which we feel are related to spirituality or meditation or
Mm.
religion or whatever. Uh, but every night, in whatever situation I am, wherever I am, even in the middle of disasters,
Mm.
uh, I spend about a couple of minutes with myself before sleeping. And the only thing I do is that I try to see that how many times I've used the word I in the entire day. Yeah, I'll do it today also, and I'll find that in this conversation, I must have used some 80 times I, you know. And then at 12, 1, 2, whenever you sleep in the night, you realize that 70-80% of that I actually doesn't belong to you. That
Mm.
was that was us, and you were only the face,
Yeah.
or you were trying to claim, you know, or that scenario or that interview forced you to say I, but it
Mm-hmm.
was not I.
Yeah.
So I think that keeps you uh, grounded.
As we say, right, you're the medium. You're the medium that has been put in this particular spot to make things happen. And so you have to keep yourself. So as we, there's a word, ahem, right? If we are able to keep that a little
In
bit
control.
separate from what you're doing, then I think you're in a better place.
No, you are talking to me because of Goonj.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Goonj is not me.
Mm-hmm.
Goonj might be my idea,
Yeah.
or Goonj happened to me,
Mm.
whatever. Or I happened to Goonj, whatever happened. But Goonj is a sum total of work and a lot of other good stuff of hundreds and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Not only the people who send some money or material, but also the people who work with us in the villages and dig well, make roads, make bamboo bridges, and all. We are hardcore infrastructure, water sanitation people. If you see our larger work in the villages,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
so we're talking about a barter economy, new economy, and all that. It's a sum total of of all those efforts. It's a sum total of the value system of my parents and ecosystem, which made me whatever I am. I mean, people say, Anshu, you are this, Anshu, you are that. I say, boss, fine. But do you know that this came from my parents and my ecosystem, my upbringing? The credit, only credit which I can take is that I valued and nurtured. But I'm not the person who initiated that. That came from my parents, and all this so-called hard work and not saying no, or so-called honesty and all that. आजकल जिनको हम qualities सोचते हैं कि these are qualities, all those are coming from there.
Yeah.
So I had a choice. I had a choice not to value that, and I had a choice to value that and nurture that.
And that's
That
what you
is
did.
the that is the only credit I can take.
And you always have a choice.
Always.
You may choose to ignore
Yeah.
all that beautiful stuff that you have with you, or you may choose to imbibe it and embrace it and say, yeah, this is who I am. This is me,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, simple fact that why didn't my father really pay bribe?
Yeah.
I would have I would have been uh, having a much better, my lag would have been much better.
Hmm.
Now I'm in constant pain. Why didn't my father pay bribe? So
Hmm.
one option was that I become rebellion and say this is nonsense. You know? And the other option is that you say, wow, what a man,
Yeah.
or what a family.
Yeah. It's not easy for him to make that decision, right? But he did.
Yeah,
He
he
did
did.
what was right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I hear so much, right? One is you've always believe that it's good to be a dreamer. It's good to always have that higher benchmark and say that this is what I aspire to do. So the yardstick is always set at a certain level, and that's what you hope to achieve, right? In that sense, I love the fact that you said that everything that you do depends on the lens that you're wearing as well. So wear the lens where you see the goodness, right? You have the faith that good things will happen, good things will come. People are good by default, and what I'm also hearing, maybe you didn't say it in as many words, is maybe this is my takeaway from what you said it. when you have faith in the goodness, then you stop blaming people and you start thinking about the situation and the circumstances that you've been put in, which has led to you becoming a certain way. And you kind of question that with curiosity rather than putting a blame game or judging people in that sense, right?
And start working on solutions,
Yes.
and start loving people who have solutions,
Yes.
and start creating an ecosystem of the people who
Hmm.
you think are not the cribbers,
Yeah. The
right?
naysayers. I call them the naysayers, like people who always say, we're doomed, nothing is going to happen. You don't want people like that around you. You want people who are optimistic, you have that bias for action, who are raring to go rather than give up and just sit on a chair and pass comments and judgments on things. And
Always, my realization. So I tell you one thing. I mean, there was a very bad phase when these recently when Afghanistan and Ukraine were troubling me in any case a lot.
mm,
And it's like in India also, Manipur, we had a lot of
yeah, yeah,
riots and very bad scenarios happening. So those were, and apart from large number of natural disasters all across, and then when the Palestine thing happened, right? So I was like, what is this? I mean, personally went through very tough phase. Okay, I mean, uh, my brain, my heart was not there anywhere. I mean, I was losing with all this. I was like, "Hey, is this how the world operates? Is this because we have just gone through the massive phase of COVID where all of us have seen the worst, all of us have lost uh, the dearest people around us.
yeah,
We've seen the worst. And still after that, life became normal. Everyone was behaving and acting. And then after that, all this started happening. But then, and I'm not a student of history. And I just studied in my classes, not after that. And then one day I realized that no, I think this is how the world operates, good or bad. But if you historically see the world wars and before that, one king killing so many people, and uh, we 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 have photos and the statues of those kings all across, without understanding that just for his own or uh, say greed or power,
yeah,
how many thousands of people this person really killed, and we are celebrating this person and weaving stories. But this is how the society is. This is how the society was. But the fact remains that even after Hitler, the Germany survived and Germany came back. You know, and many other organizations. So
yeah,
um, I think that was my realization that I am only a small part of this history,
yeah,
and this history evolves, and we remain there, and we fight it out,
yeah,
and we are privileged uh, that not only we can fight out for ourselves, but on behalf of so many other people also.
yeah, absolutely.
So whatever little we do, okay, but we do,
That's it. Just
and that gave me. I mean, of course, my low period, and then I said, okay, fine, you know. Uh,
So I always say this, right? And this is not my concept. It's given to us by Stephen Covey, right? Your circle of control is where you operate from. Because the moment you get into that circle of concern, you're going to be burning your personal resources in terms of your energy, your effort, and the time that you're giving to things which are totally out of your control. So for you, if let's say if there are people who are adopting villages or are making a difference in a particular village, let's just focus on that. Let's zero in on that and do the best that we can, and then expand that, right? Rather than worrying about the larger picture, which, unless you are in a position where you can influence that, that's a different story. But I think for mere mortals like us, maybe it's just our um, what we can control and what we can do and what we can influence, right? And it's
no,
about doing the right
and
things over
also
there.
also the realization that we are not that small also.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
I mean
Yes.
we call ourselves tiny and whatever, because the world is too big and we
Yes.
are too big. But at the end of the day, everything is started small.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, from your Black Life Matters to every single movement
Me too. Mm-hmm.
across the globe,
Mm-hmm.
which started by maybe one person or whatever, and then it started growing because yeah.
Movement.
So that power all of us have in our in our life. Fine. Uh, I mean, movement is not only about coming on roads. Movements, I mean, those are extremely important movements for sure. But and then, but movements are also about bringing hope. Movements are also about valuing people. Movements are
Yes.
also about uh, you know, when people realize that they can really do wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Those are also movements when millions of people realize that they can do wonders in their own areas, in their own life. That itself, that's it. That's the movement is also movement is like a movement mindset. Right?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not just a physical doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And every individual, what I'm hearing is every individual can be a powerhouse within themselves, right?
absolutely.
And can influence massively, right? And that's what really matters. So Anshu, based on everything, right? Do you have any role model that you've looked up to and said that, okay, this is what I'm hoping to achieve or aspire to do? Anything like that when you started off?
Uh, Role model I never had. Uh,
Okay.
I don't have, but yeah, um, Gandhi is someone uh, who I think I mean I've written in my because I write a lot, so I've one of the diary, the first page of that actually says chahiye ek aur Gandhi. We need one more Gandhi.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
in these today's era. Uh, Apart from Gandhi, Gandhi forever for almost everything he did for the world. Uh, Practically, he must have done it here, but literally for the world, and that's how he is able to inspire hundreds of doers and thinkers.
Generations, right? In that sense.
Himself, that's why he is.
Yeah.
Uh, Other two people I really admire a lot, and I give their example is literally Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh
Okay.
Khan.
Being a Bollywood fan myself,
Being
I'm
a
happy
Bollywood
to
fan.
hear that.
Because I don't watch any other movies and all that. Sometime whenever I get time, I look up to these people because these two people I feel that uh, and how especially Amitabh Bachchan because it's what it is and I that in one life what all can you do the the variety of work the perfection the I mean how you make everything so perfect
Hmm.
from the Navrang Tel ka ad
Mm-hmm.
yeah
Yes.
to the KBC at this age, to the movies and no one even today no one calls you old because you even at 80 you fit in so well in every damn role.
Yeah.
Even when you're actually playing the role of a grandfather, you're still not called old.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
and and Shah Rukh Khan, of course. Again, I mean, we all know what all he went through. Uh, but the perfection, the variety, the humility, uh, all this. I mean, apart from good acting, both of
Yes, yes. It's the spirit. It's the spirit that they
them.
bring into
Yeah,
everything, right?
and even the business sense of what all they do.
Mm.
Okay,
Very shrewd, very smart.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's fun.
They've had
And
their failures too. We all know the stories.
massive failure. But that is why I see a lot of good in them because
Yes.
because they lot of failures in fact and we only know a very little bit what media tells you. I mean, we don't know them personally also. Personally I've met both of them,
Mm.
uh, but we hardly know anything of their life
Yeah.
except whatever media says, and what media says we all know now. So so very selective, and especially when media starts talking about so-called celebrity.
Mm.
So what is more gossip than the news?
Mm-hmm.
But still, still. So I would say on one part it is Mahatma Gandhi forever. I'll still not say ki I looked up to him as my role model and all that. I don't believe in those
Mm.
concepts and theories.
Sure. Mm.
And on the other hand, these two people, Amitabh
Absolutely.
Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Thank you for sharing that. And if there is one message or one advice that you would have for young entrepreneurs, people who are just getting started in whatever setup it may be, it could be a social enterprise, it could be whatever their heart desires, what would that message or advice be for them?
Uh, Listen a lot.
Hmm.
The biggest problem is that we have stopped listening.
Hmm.
And especially it happened in the Google era because uh, we always feel that we know everything because
Hmm.
we have read it on Google
Hmm.
without understanding that Google gives you very selective readings.
Yeah.
One of the example which I have been giving to large number of these newcomers and all, uh, that how many of us have ever typed happy farmer on Google? The answer is no one.
Mhm.
So when you type distress in farming, poverty of India or agriculture or whatever, Google gives you 1,000 articles of distress in farming.
Mhm.
They will never show you the picture of happy people around that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very misleading, misguiding, wrong kind of information.
Yeah.
Information might be correct, but the context is absolutely wrong.
Yes. Yes.
And what matters in our journey is not just the information, but the context. Why are we doing it?
Correct.
Are we doing it just for the sake of becoming an entrepreneur?
Hmm.
Or we are really trying to address an issue?
Yeah.
The issue might be, you know, becoming rich, if
Mm-hmm.
that is your personal issue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what is that issue? But otherwise, there are larger issues which you. Why did you start this entrepreneur enterprise? Whether
Correct.
for profit or not profit, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's extremely important for because this era of the last couple of decades have made people stinking rich uh, by just some experiments and all that. Uh, and a lot of people have really done it in a very hard way, with a lot of
Mm.
hard work. They have much uh, bigger and deeper value in the institutions. So don't become Baijus.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't become Baijus and many of those.
Yeah.
Start uh, start reading about the institutions which failed and why they failed,
Mm.
instead of just thinking that Flipkarts can happen and Flipkart can be done by anyone. No,
Mm.
it cannot. When 100 institutions fail, one Flipkart happens.
Correct. Yes. And we all know the data on this. Yeah.
Okay, so it's very important for a couple of things. I will not go for resilience and you know take time and all, because those are given. I mean, anything you start and you really want to create it on the strong pillars, you have to have some patience.
Correct.
But more important is to listen
Mm-hmm.
and learn why some institutions fail.
Yeah.
Can I avoid those mistakes and make new kind of mistakes?
Be smart about it, right? And I think
Yes.
also when you listen, you start questioning your own biases as well. So even that's taken care of, right? You start thinking from a different perspective. So that helps.
Our
Yeah.
journey has been of listening. We still listen a lot. I mean, we don't impose. We don't say that every uh, village we have to work on water body or we have to make
Mm.
a road. I mean, we listen to the village or the community that what is their need.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things on your website is also don't give what you think is needed, but ask what is needed. Something around those
Mhm.
lines you've written, right? Because that's important. Don't assume, ask. If you're not sure, question and then solve for it. Great.
And COVID has taught us that there's no harm in asking for even help.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things, Anshu, I wanted to end with our podcast is what is your vision?
I feel that I have my potential is underutilized.
Mm-hmm.
So my vision for the next journey is that how do I do uh, much more and deeper.
Mm.
And there are two other initiatives which we have already taken. One is called Gram Swabhimaan, which is about the language about self
Mm.
uh, in in the villages of India and across the globe. Is all these are global.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing which we started was Khwab Mere, which is to do with the youth. So
Mm-hmm.
in my life, there were only three targets, major targets. One was material poverty. Okay, I mean this is how it is evolved. I will not say I was born with these three targets. This
Right,
is
right,
how
right. Yeah. Yeah.
this is
Your
how it is
journey.
evolved.
Mm.
Journey. Second is the farmer or the villager.
Mm.
and the third is the youth. So the college crowd,
Mm.
not the school crowd,
Yeah.
the college crowd. So those, so in the vision part, Goonj is on its journey. Two other journeys are on, and hopefully next year or whenever we talk, we'll talk more about those journeys.
Amazing.
Then
So those are Gram Swabhimaan and Kwab Mere.
and Khwab Mein. These
Excellent.
two big journeys which are on track right now.
Fabulous.
And I think this is how Goonj will also evolve, because my journeys are also and always connected with Goonj, because that's what that is our family, that is our
Hmm.
entire ecosystem. So Goonj will, and then with these two initiatives, Goonj will also change a lot.
Mhm.
You know, the way we are operating will also go much deeper. And world, of course, I mean everyone wants peace, and we don't know how we bring that peace,
Yeah.
because some people just don't want peace, and they're very powerful people.
Yeah.
So we are, many of us, maybe including you, we are struggling how to maintain that peace. Because if you have peace, uh, you can handle anything. You can
You can be so much
survive,
more creative. You can be so much more
and you can
innovative.
survive. You can survive in much lesser
Yes.
resources, or 2 meals a day type, or 1 meal a day. But
Yeah.
if you don't have peace, then it's complicated. It's pain.
It's always an uphill struggle then, no? In a way.
Yeah, it has. But at least in my life, what I remember, this is one period where the peace is just not there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe because we are more exposed, uh, you know, because of certain medias, and also because now we have larger circles. We're
Hmm.
not limited anymore to small towns and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Maybe this world was always like that, and now we are exposed. I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
I
I
still
struggle
want
with
to
the
be.
same questions.
Uh,
Yeah.
I want to
Absolutely.
believe in that.
Yeah. I agree. I
Unfortunately,
agree. Something to keep going, right?
yeah.
Always find that anchor and then hold on to it. Absolutely.
But we do
Great.
need more peace for sure.
Yeah, so here is to that, and here is to more impact. It's been a wonderful conversation, Anshu, and I really appreciate you taking the time. There's so much to learn, and we really look forward to your next leg of the two other journeys that you've embarked. Wish you all the very best for that.
Thank you, and all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm having goosebumps after this conversation because there is so much depth to what Anshu is saying. And, he's been in the trenches for such a long time. He's been doing this, he's seen it so closely. And I love how much hope and optimism are reflected in the words that he had. It's all about staying on top of it, staying positive, hoping for the best, and making a difference. The entire thing around what he said about an individual making that change is so critical and it's so powerful because sometimes, and I know I'm guilty of that, right? I look at society or government and I start thinking about it a little bit. Hopelessness creeps in, right? What I loved about Anshu's story was that he lived up to the idea of one individual making a difference. And if I remember this right, at the start of the conversation, he was talking about some quotes, and he talked about Mahatma Gandhi and the quote that be the change that you want to see in the world. And he did it. He did it, and kudos to him for that. And I'm sure there's an entire team of people who is supporting him on this, but he is truly the visionary. Ramana, what did you think of this conversation?
So, Dhruti, for me, again, an absolute honor to be getting the story of Goonj right from him firsthand, right? I thoroughly enjoyed listening to him. And, as he was speaking, Anshu is also very quotable. So, actually, he was making a few notes about the
Yeah.
quotes that really, resonated with me. So, I loved at the very beginning when he said, Goonj found me and not the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Then there was another one, which I like how he says that challenge and how you deal with it is all about the mindset. And I'm sure that resonated with you a lot. And one more bit was, and listeners, I'm literally quoting him here. Dignity is part of the soul. It's the society that robs you of it. I mean, that is so true. And
That
it
hits
really
you
makes
so hard, doesn't it, when you hear
Yes.
something like that? Yeah.
Yes, it really makes you think. And then there's one more, Dhruti, and this might be a little controversial given this is the Resilient Entrepreneur podcast, but I quite found it interesting when he said that too much resilience can be a curse when you start accepting things as it is. What's your take on that, Dhruti?
Yeah, it was an interesting thing to say. And, he has so much more experience than I have. So, having said that, I do have a different take on this, right? And me, I'm more of an and person. So I think there is room for both perspectives over here. So I'm just going to share mine. I believe that, and I've written this in the book as well, right? Resilience is your ability to bounce back and emerge stronger on the other side of the challenge. And for our listeners who are not in India, that if you're aware of of the subcontinent and the people who come from here, as Indians, we don't always have all the facilities available to us. We have to work hard, really hard at times in order to make things happen. And, things are not always in our corner. Some people call it jugaad. I call it, persistence. I call it resilience, because the thing is, it's not about accepting situation as it is. It's about, if that's your reality, and this could be a reality for a lot of people where we don't have the kind of support from the government sometimes, from, your next door neighbor maybe, but you never give up. You make your dreams come true. Sometimes they don't, but at the end of the day, I see so many people just sometimes taking a chill and laughing about it. They're not down the dumps because they know there is another day that is coming, and there's always that hope, that optimism, which actually as I said in the beginning, right, I could hear it in Anshu's voice as well. And it's about making the difference. So, maybe the definitions of resilience may change, but kudos to us for, looking forward to another day, to keeping that smile intact, to laughing sometimes in our misery, and saying that this too shall pass. So that was my take on the entire thing. And I'm sure someday, at some point in time, I would want to sit down with Anshu and have a discussion around this. It would be pretty fascinating to just and understand a little bit more about his perspective. All right, listeners, just one more episode of season 2 of the Resilient Entrepreneur podcast comes to an end. I'll see you again next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. This is Dhruti Shah signing off.